Okay, so I was um I was recording more last night after I woke up. Well, I guess it was in the morning, so it's still today. But anyways, um, there's some things that I started talking about, that I started thinking about that I don't particularly like about, because there's like, okay, there's nothing that I liked about Kirsten Pines. And the things I was going through after I had a concussion, it's like all of it was just people's stupidity. But what there's something that I always end up thinking about, right? And it's related to Jesus and all this different type of stuff. But I'm just gonna tell the reason why. The reason why is when I was younger, I had this strange um thing that felt like a memory. It was like a scenario of something that happened. And this is like this is like a childhood thing. This is like when I was little. Like before you remember, like this is what I remember remembering. Before you, like strange. I mean, it's like for me, life wasn't something that kind of just started one day. It's like I have all these little memories. Like okay, let me break it down. There's this one thing where I have a memory of scratching someone's face, right? And then I remember being in a sink at the time. Turns out that's like a baby memory. That's like something that I think it actually happened. Like it wasn't like made up. Right? And it's in that same place that I remember some other stuff going on. But I'm skipping that to talk about what I was just talking about a minute ago. Right? There are these memories where I'm like being created by this thing. Now in the memory, I didn't know that it created me first time. So it starts telling me about all these different things and stuff that it wants to do. And then I was like on board with these ideas. Then it started telling me about the bad side of everything. And I started getting upset. I was like, yo, yeah, this stuff sounds good, but that's like one or two good things that could possibly last forever. All this bad stuff, like you don't think people that you make would want to not go through that? And then I had the idea of like killing this thing. And it's like, I don't think it killed me, but it did something. And then all the memories, all the thoughts stopped. And then I remember not knowing a large portion of like what it had made in the course of time. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna kill you. And then, because it was like, I was trying to stop it from doing something insane, but it was like, it wasn't really insane. It was more like experiments. And then after that, it did the thing that made me stop and be unknowing or whatever it was. And then I woke up after that and there was like a whole nother world. There was a whole nother realm existing in it. And I was like, I was upset. I was sad. I was like, yo. Like I was just apologizing. Like we weren't people, right? This was like we were. It's like it's hard to explain what we were in this memory dream idea thing that I had when I was little. But we were some like it's just like the thing with the girl that I was talking about, where we were on the bus, but I would be asleep, and it's just like that thing. But then I ended up leaving, and they were like, "You don't have to leave." But I was like, "Nah, I gotta leave." And then I ended up leaving. I ended up forcing my way out. And then there's life. Like that's how it was for me. And then it was like I had to know my mom now. Like I didn't have much time in life of not thinking, seeing, having something that you have to understand. It's like I don't remember like sitting there and being like, "Oh, hello, how are you?" and just not understanding it. Like I remember comprehending stuff and not knowing what it means. You know what I mean? But anyways, a lot of that, those type of ideas, types of memories, when I started going to church, a lot of the stories, well, not a lot of the stories, a few of the stories kind of correlated with those types of ideas and dreams and things. So that's why I believed in Christianity growing up. Like, it wasn't like I believed in heaven and all that stuff. I always thought that shit was stupid. But the whole, it's like we got created by God and things like people running from a city and then turning around and like they were being killed. I always had like this weird memory thing where it's like they were being um what are those things that you throw it, but it's on this little, it's a medieval weapon. You unleash some, oh, a catapult. Right? It's like people had stuff that was on fire be catapulted at them. Right? So it's all these different things that it's like, okay, you turn around, you turn into stone or whatever, right? Like that's the story in the Bible. I had an idea or like a memory or something where like, nah, someone was like, y'all will leave this place, and while you're leaving, we're gonna shoot flaming arrows and throw catapults at you. So it was like you turn around, you turn to stone. It's like something could fall on you, and then you would just be burned up afterwards. You would just be ashes and bone and blood. And people didn't have a better way of remembering that day. But it's like all this stuff. It's like that is why I sat down in church and started to feel like, oh, I kind of rock with this. I think it is real. I believe. You know what I mean? It's like those. It's like it's hard to explain how I could have like bits and pieces of broken apart little memories when only been alive. But like what at the time I was maybe 3 with the stuff with the scratch, and then as things went on, I remember not remembering because I was too young to remember. And then there's, right, it's like nowadays I just feel like you shouldn't keep kids in church. Like it's stupid. There's no benefit to a little kid being in church. You want your kid to learn church? Instead of giving them bedtime stories, read something from the Bible, tell them what it means. You can't do that. Your kid doesn't need to be in fucking church at all. Church is not a good place for a developing mind to be in. Like, it's just not. It's all these things about, like, all these different ideas I have about how church is, like, terrible for you. Like, being baptized, right? I have a memory of, like, being at this angle and not being able to breathe. But what I have the memory of is the air started to look like this, and I couldn't breathe. And then someone pulled me up and put me back down. It's like that's the memory that I have. That I think that's from being baptized. Like it could be. Like when I was learning about being baptized after growing up, it was like, hold up. Because they describe, like, there's certain things that in churches I went to, like, they would describe something to you, then they would tell you about it. Right? And it's like, I was like, hold up, I didn't have a memory of that. It is terrible. And it's like, it's just, the idea I have now is like, being baptized gives you fear, then it gives you a certain type of memory that you get when you, our whole system of knowledge and stuff is really based off of being afraid and feeling safe. And there's two types of smart. You either get smart because you were so afraid in a moment that you started thinking of other shit, or you were so comfortable that you got bored and you started thinking of other shit. Like there's only two options for our DNA. And you get either one and you don't get to choose. But there's just so much to talk about, so much to think about. Like I'm a little bit off track. I'm gonna have to rewatch this and do a part two. But it's just, I mean, it's things about being Jesus. That's what I'm talking about. Because I was talking about these things and I was thinking about them, and then I was thinking about church and my experiences and stuff that's just terrible. But I had a joke before when I was thinking about it. That's the main reason why I was like, yo, I want to talk about something. But I'm not getting to jokes right now. It's not pleasant thoughts. It's more like, these are things that really happen and I think about them sometimes. And how am I now? 20 something? This shit happened when I was like, what? 8, 7, 9. And it's not even all real things. Some of it's like mental shit. That's like the manipulation that happens in church that's meant to happen in you so you can believe in stuff. But for some strange reason, for me, it was more like twisting a key, unlocking some shit. And it's like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go to the next video.